Dr. Pickens, and this is a video tutorial on different types of attention grabbers. And what you are going to do is follow my instruction and then type in my modeled example so you can watch this video and then you can pause as you go. Um, and then you are going to write your own type of attention grabbers for your particular paper topic. And before we get started, I just want to explain the purpose of an attention grabber in your paper. The attention grabber is going to come in your introduction paragraph, and you're going to start your introduction paragraph with a type of attention grabber. And this introduction paragraph is going to come after your abstract. And you're going to see in other video tutorials that I'm going to put together with you that when you're following APA style, you're going to have an abstract. But this specifically goes in your introduction. If you are following MLA format or you are following other styles of writing or doing a less formal paper for school, you're still going to need an introduction paragraph, and you're still going to need an attention grabber within that paragraph, and it starts the paragraph because you want to get someone's attention to begin with. Also, my daughter is outside playing and screaming very loud, so you will probably hear her in the background. So say hey, Hazel. Okay, I'm going to provide you with a few different types of attention grabbers. And like I said, the point of an attention grabber is to draw in the interest of whoever is reading your paper. And it's really good practice to think about how you can make your topic engaging. And this is actually a really practical skill because there are times when you will be publicly speaking or publicly writing and you want to be engaging. You want to draw that person in. It's an example of having really good rhetoric. And as we studied rhetoric in the beginning of the year, there's three main ways that you can use rhetoric, and you use rhetorical appeals. You'll use logos, you can use facts and statistics, you can use pathos, you can use emotional appeals, or you can use ethos. You can make things engaging because of your credibility. And those are all persuasive devices, and you're really ramping up those persuasive devices as you're writing at the very beginning because you really want to get someone on your side and engaged in your topic as soon as you can. And this really, like I said, you're going to have situations in your adult life where you want to draw someone into your argument, regardless of what that argument is, whether it's a job interview, whether it's a proposal to a board, whether it's a community event. This is a good skill to have and a practical skill. You will not be writing research papers the rest of your life, most likely, but you need to know how to be engaging and draw someone into your argument. So that's really the skill that we're trying to work on here. It's a very practical skill. Okay, one type of attention grabber is using a rhetorical question. And you probably remember this from when we were studying rhetoric as well. A rhetorical question is when we ask the audience a question and we don't expect an answer in return. We're using that question to kind of manipulate them a little bit and to get them thinking in the direction that we want them to be thinking. And in this case, our rhetorical question needs to be particularly thought provoking. It needs to kind of be like, I never thought of that before. That's interesting. I want to read more. Again, our purpose in writing these attention grabbers is to get our audience's attention. So, what we need to avoid doing when writing a rhetorical question and using a rhetorical question as an attention grabber is just repeating the prompt. Okay, so by asking, is America really number one? Or asking something like, is America exceptional? That's just repeating the prompt that you've been given. That's not thought provoking. It doesn't demonstrate that you've put any work into what you're doing. Um, and it doesn't really draw me in and get my attention. It also needs to be more specific to your paper topic. So I'm going to be providing modeled examples here on college and whether college is worth it or not. And so all of mine kind of have to do with this idea of college. You're going to write your own example using your topic for your American exceptionalism paper. So here's my example of a thought-provoking rhetorical question. Should young adults have to choose between working at McDonald's the rest of their life or going into $100,000 of debt to maybe get a decent job? And that's my thought provoking question. Okay. Now I'm sort of setting up what's called a false dilemma here. There are really a ton more options in between those options, but I'm using that question to get someone thinking. And I'm using that as kind of like a hyperbole to show that maybe some options are kind of limited and it's frustrating. And I'm showing all of that in this really kind of succinct question that I think we all kind of relate to as we're thinking about college as well. Okay, so that's my modeled example. You're going to type this into your box and then you are going to write your own. If I were you, I'd be pausing this, doing a split screen, and using that to help me. Okay, a second type of attention grabber that you can use is a brief anecdote. An anecdote is a short personal story, and this really relies on ethos. You're building your credibility and your personal connections to what you're writing about. Now, I do want to say that for the most part in your paper, you need to avoid first person because first person often enables us to get kind of sloppy with our writing. We take shortcuts. And it also kind of avoids a formal tone. It also avoids sounding like an objective voice or non biased voice because you're constantly speaking in the first person. That being said, at the very beginning of your paper, if you want to use a short personal story, and you want to go into first person just there, that's okay. This is the one place where it's okay to do that. Okay, here's my example. When I was in college, I often worked two jobs during the summer, sometimes working up to 70 hours a week. During the school year, I worked two part time jobs, including a job as a resident assistant for a dorm and a teaching assistant for one of the professors. Combined with a 75% scholarship, these jobs enabled me to get through college almost debt free. Okay, so that's my own personal story that I'm using that relates to my topic. I could also tell a short story about something that happened to me. I want to be really honest now with the cost of college now. I'm not sure that even working that much, I would have been able to get out of college debt free. And then I also have a lot of debt from my master's and PhD. So I'm not sure that exactly carries or applies to today. But I just wanted to give you an example of what that could possibly look like when you tell a short story. So you're going to type that into your box as well, and then you're going to be coming up with your own example. Okay, another thing that you could do is use a weird or interesting fact. This would be a really good place to put kind of surprising statistics you might have come across as you were doing your research, or something that you just found really astounding or interesting about your topic. And again, this is almost operating more like pathos, like you're getting an emotional appeal, like, oh my gosh, that's really shocking. And using that to gain someone's attention at the beginning. So here's my example. When I go to Starbucks in Bedford, chances are good that the barista has a college degree. In fact, more and more jobs requiring minimal training are being done by a highly educated population. Less high skilled jobs are available, and yet students are being told every day they need to go to college. Okay, so that's kind of my interesting statistic that I have. You're going to be typing that into the box, and then you're going to be creating your own example of that for your topic. I do want to add, though, that this fact that I've shown, it is still better to get a college education in general than to not, as far as your income levels go. But I think that we'll see what happens with the economy with when all of this is over with the coronavirus and stuff, and see how that changes things. More and more jobs are automated, so because of that automation, really high skilled jobs and highly educated jobs are less likely to end up getting replaced by machines, but we'll see. Okay, and our last example that we have is you can use a really key quotation from someone that's famous or a relevant person in the field to kind of gain someone's attention. And in this case, mine is kind of interesting in two ways. We get kind of an emotional appeal from this just being interesting. And then we have some ethos here that we get credibility from having someone that's famous. So, Bill Gates, a highly successful college dropout, has said, although I dropped out of college and got lucky pursuing a career in software, getting a degree is a much surer path to success. Okay, so I'm just using a quotation there to gain someone's attention. Again, finding a really good quality quotation is going to be really important for helping your attention grabber to be good. Okay, so that's what you're practicing with today. You're not stuck with using what you create today, but I do want you to have some practice. But you could also just copy and paste one of the ones that you think is best when you go to start writing your paper. So I hope that is helpful to you. And if you have any questions or you get stuck, just let me know, and we'll just go from there. Thanks, everyone. always slow.